When even Elon Musk is speaking out against Donald Trump and undermining one of his positions, you know it is bad. Elon is completely in the cult of MAGA. So for him to have called out Donald Trump, which is exactly what we saw on a newly released leak call, shows just how much turmoil there is in this administration. And it also comes as Elon Musk has announced that he is leaving the government, separating entirely from Doge, because he has his little feelings hurt. And we are going to get into both of those stories. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into this leaked Elon Musk call, in which he really just stabs Donald Trump in the back, I want to hear from another surprising group that went after Trump, and that's the Fox propaganda outlet.
What do you think we're seeing here? I mean, there has been this volatility back and forth, and depending on who you talk to, markets seem to bake it in. They're waiting for something.
Well, there isn't much that's happening right now, Brett, that's going to give investors a peaceful, easy feeling about the state of the economy and therefore the state of the markets, which have been turbulent but mostly down now since the announcement of the tariffs, a month ago. And now the president is just calling for the departure of Fed Chairman Powell, who, whatever you think of him and whether you think interest rates should be lower, as the president certainly does, or whether you don't, that's another element of instability in the current financial outlook. And instability is something that markets do not like, and economies really don't either, because when people are uncertain about what the future lies, they're hesitant to invest and to hire and to do the things you need to have an economy go and grow, which is obviously what the president is seeking. So he may win in the end, but trade wars don't have a lot of history of working out very well for any party who's involved in it. So I think that's where the worry lies, now compounded by a fight with the Fed.
Yeah, just before we started this segment, in the commercial break, there was a statement put out by the U.S. Trade Representative, Jamieson Greer, saying that they have essentially a framework of a trade negotiation process, laying the roadmap for negotiations with India, saying that this is now starting in earnest, a roadmap for those negotiations. We've heard that about Japan. We've heard other countries. Do you think one of those deals, should they get there, change the dynamic on the market and where we stand?
Well, I think if they get, one or two of those deals with countries like Japan and India, which are of some size and importance, I think might calm the markets. The concern, of course, is you've got China reaching out to trading partners, many of them the same as ours, and saying, don't you be making any deals that are against our interests with the United States. And the United States, in the meantime, of course, is saying, no, you want to work with us. We're the big enchilada here, and you can't afford to be without us. Now, there are a lot of people who think that the U.S. can win that kind of competition with China, but it is another element of uncertainty in the economic outlook. And, today, for example, Brett, China has cut Boeing off, and Boeing had outstanding orders for airplanes to be manufactured and shipped to China. Those things are, at least for the moment, are stopped in their tracks. There's a cost to that. That will cut. If that stands, that will hurt jobs and growth in the United States. So these are the kinds of situations that people worry about when they see a trade war underway.
The Wall Street Journal started by calling it the stupidest trade war in history, and they were spot on. And now another product of Rupert Murdoch is calling out Donald Trump, the Fox propaganda outlet, making it clear what we all know and knew before, that Donald Trump, like Kamala Harris said, would invite a recession before the summer even started with his idiotic economic plan. The chaos that comes from tariffs, the instability in the markets, is the reason why businesses are deciding not to invest, not to hire, or to even fire people, losing jobs in this economy that is close to a recession, if not already in one, and Fox knows that. And so does Elon, who's been critical of Donald Trump's tariffs, but a little quietly, but he really spoke out against them on this leaked call.
I just want to emphasize that the tariff decision is entirely up to the President of the United States. I will weigh in with my advice with the President, which he will listen to my advice, but then it's up to him, of course, to make his decision. I've been on the record many times as saying that I believe lower tariffs are generally a good idea for prosperity. But this decision is fundamentally up to the elected representative of the people, being the President of the United States. So, I'll continue to advocate for lower tariffs rather than higher tariffs, but that's all I can do.
Even Elon knows that tariffs are terrible and they are causing huge problems in our economy. And I think he maybe wants to blame those tariffs for the reason that no one wants to buy anything, including his cars. We have seen Tesla drop 71% over the last 3 months. The stock price down 71%. Elon has made one of the biggest miscalculations in history, sure. In his time in government, he was able to steal billions of dollars in government contracts in the most corrupt way possible. He was breaking the law and he was pretending he was the president, the shadow president, the co-president. But what that has cost him is hundreds of billions of dollars. And not that he had much of a reputation before, but his reputation. People hate Elon Musk even more than they do Donald Trump. That is what he has gotten himself. And so it's too late to take it all back, Elon. You have screwed yourself, and I am glad your car company is collapsing. There are lots of other EVs to buy, and people should. But if they don't want to get a swastika car, I think the reason is pretty clear. Why? Because Elon Musk has screwed himself while he's helped Donald Trump screw our economy. And that is exactly what Lawrence O'Donnell was calling out right here.
In 1932, the unemployment rate in this country was 23.6%. Let me say that again. The unemployment rate in 1932 was 23.6%. We were at the depth of what came to be known as the Great Depression, the cruelest economic depression in American history. Starving children were going to bed hungry in this country in 1932. The suicide rate was skyrocketing. And today, the Trump stock market is on its way, according to the Wall Street Journal, to the, quote, worst April since 1932. Prior to the Donald Trump stock market, not a single economic indicator in this country has ever resembled anything in 1932 during the entire course of our lifetimes. But now Donald Trump has managed to bring the stock market back to 1932. The difference between 1932 and today is that in 1932, the only hope, and I mean the only hope, that people had in this country came from the newly elected President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who was working every day then to lead the country out of that depression, which is exactly what he did. Every president in our lifetimes has always known every minute of the day how to instantaneously crash the stock market. They've all known how to do it, and not one of them has chosen to do that until Donald Trump. Every president always knew that all he had to do to crash the stock market was to take a public swipe at the chair of the Federal Reserve, who has always been, no matter who it is, more popular with Wall Street than any president of the United States. So for better or worse, Wall Street always respects the Federal Reserve chair much more than they respect the president of the United States. And now that respect gap is bigger than ever. And so Donald Trump decided that once again today, he would publicly attack Jerome Powell, the chair of the Federal Reserve, who was appointed to that job by Donald Trump in his first term, and then was reappointed by President Biden. That's right. President Biden reappointed Republican Jerome Powell, who was originally put into that position by Republican Donald Trump. And so the guy who says he always chooses the best people is now attacking one of his best people and crashing the stock market every single time that he does it. No president has ever been stupid enough to do that until Donald Trump. At 9:41 a.m., Donald Trump decided to go on social media and predict a recession, which no president has ever done. No president has ever predicted a recession. during their term. So Donald Trump predicted a recession, and then he blamed it on the Federal Reserve chair, saying there can be a slowing of the economy, otherwise known as a recession, unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates, N-O-W, capital letters. Now, all those Trump voters who believed Donald Trump was going to make the American economy better all by himself, all of them thought that he was able to do that, and they never once on the campaign trail heard Donald Trump say he could only make the economy great if the Federal Reserve lowered interest rates. Never mentioned that on the campaign trail, but now Donald Trump says, the only I can fix it guy, I can't fix anything unless the chair of the Federal Reserve fixes it for me. That's what he's saying now. Speculation today then ran wild that Donald Trump would try to fire the chair of the Federal Reserve, which is against the law. CNBC's coverage of the market today once again turned dark.
This is what you get. I mean, somebody needs to turn to the camera and tell the president to stop. I mean, he is messing with the foundation of this country. He's messing with the foundation of the economy. He's messing with America's place in the global financial system.
It is against the law for the president to fire the chair of the Federal Reserve, and Jerome Powell has said under no circumstances would he quit if threatened by Donald Trump with firing. But having seen Donald Trump defy the law in other arenas, the stock market is worried to the point that the Wall Street Journal titled its editorial tonight, "The Fire Jerome Powell Market Rout." The Journal editorial says, markets fear Mr. Trump really might fire Mr. Powell, not that it would do the president any good.
Donald Trump was elected on this false promise that he was going to lower prices. And sure, there may have been some other causes, but when we get down to brass tacks, that was it and it alone. And Donald Trump has done the opposite. People are losing their jobs, their houses, their health care, their retirements, and Donald Trump is destroying the economy as prices continue to rise because he has disrupted the global economy so much that people don't trust the stability of the United States because there is no stability. You can't even call it the stability. That is where we are at. And we have to make that incredibly clear to people that the economy thrives under Democrats. That is what we're going to keep talking about on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.